Ground rules. I normally never do this in a video because I typically believe any talking point whatsoever is valid and should be heard. This video is different because we have bigger fish to fry. If you bring up the argument, the severity of the virus, there's two different parties. There's one that says it's a hoax. It's completely fake. They said they were out of testing equipment weeks ago, and yet they're still reporting positive cases, which is not possible. And then you got the other side that's like, this is a biblical plague. It's sent here to totally cleanse the earth of humanity. So regardless, if you think it's completely irrelevant or completely severe, no matter how many talking points you throw at the other party, they can throw 3 back at you. You will never convince each other one way or the other. And then you got the people in the middle. Everybody's already done their research. They've already made up their mind. They've already decided the severity of the virus, and you will not be able to change their mind. All you're going to do is plug up the comment section, and if I see a specific comment targeted to spark up that conversation, I will ghost your comment. Yes, creators have that power. What I can do, what any creator can do, which has probably happened to you one time or another, is we can flag a comment. So you don't know it's invisible, but everyone else cannot see your comment. It will totally disappear. It'll look like you'll see your comment. You can even comment underneath your comment, but nobody else will be able to see that comment. The topic at hand here is the humanity behind the whole situation, which is completely irrelevant and should always be irrelevant to the severity of the disease. Even if this is worse than the Black Plague, we cannot lose our humanity. Now, what I'm specifically talking about is American refugees and how they should be treated. Which brings up a quote. Well, I shouldn't say a quote. Something a lot of people throw around. It's very poetic and beautifully written, but completely false. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now, why is this false? Now, I will give you the pursuit of happiness. Even if I were to lock you up, chain you to the wall, just shifting slightly a little bit to make yourself a little bit more comfortable, yes, that could be qualified as a pursuit of happiness. That is inalienable. Now, what about life? Now, this is especially important. Well, depends on when your state was quarantined. So I'm only going to touch on one dark side. There are several, and I truly mean this, but one, just to make this real. So we're going to take a look at junkies. Alright, so quarantine happens. If they get paid weekly, about 2.5 weeks. That's how long they're going to be able to go for. Because they're not going to go cold turkey. Because cold turkey don't work. They're going to go cool turkey. What they're going to try to do is spend all their money on dope and then slowly ration it out, hopefully until this Trump check comes, and then they can re-up. If the Trump check comes, all this changes. But we're going to pretend it's not coming. So, alright, at 2.5 weeks, what's going to happen is they're going to start cashing in favors, pulling the change out of the couch, etc., etc. You're going to see crime rate go up. This is your normal crime rate. It's going to peak off a little bit. They'll probably get about 1 week of making that happen. And then their demon comes calling, they slip into detox. They're going to stay in detox, literally laying on a cold floor, shaking and vomiting everywhere, for about 7 to 14 days. At that point, they're going to start being able to move under their own power, and they're going to start being able to think clearly, and they're going to start scheming like, how can I feed my demon? Because regardless what you may think, all those History Channel shows or the Facebook videos where somebody's like trying to wipe the counter and they're falling asleep, that is not the reality of junkies. That's when they've been at it for 5 to 10 years. Hard. That's when their demon starts physically manifesting itself. Before that point, they're your car salesman, your mechanic, your construction workers, your bankers. If you need proof of this, look no farther than Charlie Sheen. Would you ever be able to tell he's a full-blown junkie? Yes, he lost his shit a few times, but he's been at it for 20 years? These people exist among society you would have never, ever, ever even guessed they used. Until this happened. The forced unemployment. So at 7 to 14 days, They're going to start being able to think clearly and move under their own power, and they're going to start looking for vulnerabilities in society. And crime rate is going to spike. I can't imagine how many, because we're starting to get into that point already here in Wisconsin, I can't imagine how many people have walked by my house or drove by my house already and thought about the statistical probability of me either having narcotics in my house or something small enough that's high enough value that they could steal to get a jab or even a bindle, just to hold them off a little bit longer. We're going to see a lot of armed robberies happening. Anyway, so back to the little quote here. So life. Let's pretend one of these guys come into my house and they're armed. Do they have the right to life, or do I have the right to life? Let's pretend a cop pulls up to a scene. Him and his partner. His partner dives in front of him because one of the people produce a firearm and shoot at him. That cop dies. The partner shoots the guy that shot the cop. Who has the right to life there? The point I'm trying to make is when it comes to life, that's your personal responsibility. That's something that can be forfeited forcefully or willingly to other people. Now we get to the meat and potatoes, what this whole entire video is about. Liberty. What about the people in New York? Do they have an inalienable right to liberty? Yes, there will be some people that will abuse this. They will come to your town, buy up your toilet paper, and sell it in New York. They may come to your town just to drop off a key of cocaine to sell to children. But you got to take the bad with the good. We'll try to make this a little bit real. So you are, we'll say you work at an old folks home. Basically, without you there and without the staff there, those people would die. They can't take care of themselves. You have a wife. She had an organ transplant, so she has taken medication specifically to quell her immune system so her body don't reject the organ. You have a teenage daughter who has asthma. You have an infant child. You have Grams, which is like 150 years old, all inside your household. At some point, your wife convinces you, hey, I get what you're doing. You know, I really respect that. You are risking your personal safety to help these older people. But it's not just about you anymore. If you catch this virus and bring it home, you will probably be the only one that lives. The rest of your family is going to die. We have a vacation house in another state. Why don't we go there? We'll just ride this thing out. It is beneficial that we leave New York. If we stay in New York, this is a death sentence to basically everyone but you. So they go to leave. They go to this other state, and they're turned around. Even though they've bought that house, he paid for that house with his own money, he's paid property taxes on that house, he no longer has a right to it. He cannot go to that house. He is forced back to New York, giving his family a death sentence. Should he be afforded the inalienable right of liberty? The point of this is, liberty is a group effort. If we don't all work together, nobody gets liberty. So, okay, that was a pretty hardcore example. Let's lighten it up a little bit. Let's say you're a teenage kid. I don't know, maybe 18 years old. Maybe you went to New York because you wanted to get out of the house, you wanted to experience the world. You have basically nothing. When quarantine happens, you have less than nothing now. You went to New York with just enough money for 1 month's rent. Now you're in New York, quarantine happens, and the job you had lined up is gone. You have family that will take you in. They have food, they have a bed for you, they live in another state. You go back to your family and they tell you you can't leave New York. You need to go back there. So you're sitting there starving with zero money, zero opportunities. The point is, the people leaving New York probably, I mean, like I said, you got to take the bad with the good. They're fleeing. They probably don't have a choice. They probably have to flee. And even the people that don't have to flee, like here in Wisconsin, we get Illinois people. A lot of Illinois people. It's just the way it is. This is Wisconsin. People come from Chicago. They have the option to move. They have the option to leave. Is it my right to tell them that they can't? If it's not my right to tell them they can't, whose right is it? Where are we going from here? Now, this whole conversation got sparked from a friend of mine. Was like, hey man, are you seeing what's going on? The inhumanities? Is it time to Boogaloo? I'm like, you're goddamn right it's time to Boogaloo. I mean, we've already hit checkpoints I set, like little, if this happens, okay, it's serious. All bets are off, it's time to fight. But now the question is, who's my primary target? Who's my secondary target? Who are my targets of opportunity? And what I explained to him, realistically, what we should be boogalooing, or how boogaloo would happen to actually take down the people that are responsible for this, is take your rifle, spin it 180 degrees, and pull the trigger. Because we are responsible for it. If you don't believe me, just jump into the comments section, or go to your local Walmart and listen to how people are talking. They're using words like they, them, those people. They're dehumanizing other people. And that's extremely toxic and extremely dangerous. There is countless stories in my comment section like, oh, our town had no virus, but this person from this place came here, and now we have active cases, and we need to just shut this down, and they shouldn't be allowed here. We should strip their liberties. I see countless Facebook posts, like this one right here. If you're not familiar with the area, you literally have to want to go to the park, like you've already paid your admission, and you're into the park before you can see the parking lot. That means this person says they're not the problem, everyone else is the problem. I went into AutoZone to get a drill bit, and they were telling me they got a little bit busy on Saturday. Nobody stood out, nobody was wearing masks, nobody was wearing gloves, nobody was like social distancing, trying to stay away from each other. Somebody had left after they had bought their part and then called the cops. Even though they did the exact same thing that they were calling the cops for, they weren't the problem. It was those other people. And this is just getting out of hand. You cannot take away people's liberties. If you get a hangnail, you don't chop off your hand to get rid of the hangnail. No, if the fix is worse than the problem, how can you justify the fix? And this is going to get much, much worse. You don't understand the economic implications behind this. They're forcefully telling people who can go to work, who can't go to work, who's allowed to leave their house, who's not allowed to leave their house. How the hell did we get to this point? And we're calling for it. We're begging them to do more. Seriously. Like, go to any of my videos and look in the comment section. They're literally begging they do more. Take away more liberties. Restrict us more. We've already crossed the bridge. Yes, this would be time to Boogaloo, but I never imagined it this way. I expected some sort of dictator or some sort of power to happen where I actually had, okay, that is the problem. That is what I need to take care of. And it's not that way. It's all of us. I might not be talking about you specifically. I know I'm not talking about me specifically, but that doesn't matter. It's a group effort. Liberty is only maintained with everybody working towards the same exact goal. And we're not talking about Turkish refugees. We're not talking about Chinese refugees. We're not talking about Mexican refugees. We're talking about American refugees. We're all Americans, so therefore we are talking about ourselves. And what if you were the refugee? Is that how you would want to be treated? Yes, the virus is a thing. I'm not going to, like I said, we're not going to talk about the severity of it, but it doesn't matter. You could be in that situation. Do you want to be isolated, segregated, and told what you can and can't do? This will only go past New York and spread to the entire country if we all don't just start shutting people down when they talk about it. That's the wrong words. Not when they talk about it. When they talk about openly wanting... Like I said, I don't even know where the real target is. Because literally, which direction should I be pointing my rifle? I can't. Because we're the bad people in this situation. We're the villains. Alright, so I could probably go on for another 30-minute rant, but I've already said my piece, so I think I'm just going to end it here. If you'd like to help support the channel, there's my Patreon. Click on any of my other videos up here if you'd like. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. What does that truly mean?